Welcome, everybody. I am back with what I think is quite an important update. So on current events, on the human process, on the experience of Geula, of redemption, personal redemption, and much more. So as you probably know, I did a quite intensive several days of training, of really deep training and coaching. And I was really pleased and gratified at how many people wrote back that they had incredible shifts and transformations and openings in their lives. And maybe you're one of them. That would be awesome. Maybe you're one who joined the influencer program or the Gatavini school. But whether you are or you aren't, the main thing is that we are in this incredible, intense, deep, cosmic process all together, although we experience it as individuals. I'm going to turn off that speaker. We experience it in very personal and individualized ways, which definitely makes it both more challenging and more transformational. But we're in this process that is literally changing our ground of being and everything about our world, every system, the way our bodies work, the way our governments work, the way our cultures work, the way we learn, everything, and probably much more. Because when the Geula process is fully underway, then as we are promised in the Torah, there will be no sickness, there will be no death, there will be no jealousy and competition, there will be no war, there will be no poverty, there will be no hunger. So there will be a world of heaven on earth. But we are again at this point, we're in this stage where we're in the birth canal, and it's intense and release, intensity and release, intensity and release. The farther you get into that process, the more quickly those contractions happen and the more intense they can be. And that's what I'm here to talk about right now. So after this intense training that I did, the Soul Light training, was a joy and a wonder for me as well as participants. But I got ready for the new influencer program, amazing people in the program, and I just continue to work. And I didn't really have time to do the very deep inner connecting and prayer that I try to do on a daily basis, especially lately. That really is what leads me from the inside to present, to the outside, that it's deep and healing. I don't want to get too much into that, but I did not have time to do that. And I thought I was fine. But then yesterday, really the day before yesterday, but especially intensely yesterday, which was actually a holy day. It's the yahrzeit of the Rebbitzin, the Rebbe's Rebbitzin Chaim Mushka. Very great tzaddikus, a holy, powerful soul who, as her husband, the Rebbe, said, her blessings, her brachas come from this deeper, higher, infinite level of Sovev Kol Almin, the divine light that transcends and is the source of everything in creation. So it was a holy day, and I just could not focus, and I couldn't accomplish, and I couldn't go in, I couldn't connect. And not only that, but when I did actually finally get like little glimpses of what was happening inside, it was like I was being bounced out of myself. So when I finally got little glimpses of what was happening inside, what my experience, what I was glimpsing was grief, sadness, all kinds of stuff that a deep fatigue, a weariness about the world and everything that, that I fear. So this is what the world is experiencing now. Today, I prayed hard to be able to go in. And after these, like almost probably 2 weeks of busy, running to meet my commitments and obligations and what I wanted to present and what I wanted to support, and then 2 or 3 days catching up, and then a couple days where I just tried to do processing and could not. Here's a big secret for you. If a lot of things shift, if you have a lot of light coming up from within, you're gonna have a breaking of that which was concealing the light, like the shell breaking when the chicken gets really big. It's a great thing as long as you can align yourself with it, tune in, and know how to process it and do that. If you don't, and when you present in public, and there are a lot of people, it's deep work, and there are a lot of people shifting from a lot of deep places, and you don't process it, it's a problem, okay? I'll repeat here that all symptoms I mean, can I say this with absolute certainty? No, but it's a very strong hypothesis that all symptoms, certainly with certainty, most symptoms, maybe all symptoms, are a result of not fully processing the new that is coming in. So resistance. I mean, I guess I can say this with certainty because there's sources in Chassidus. For example, the Tanya says that everything that comes from heaven is good. The thing is, it doesn't always come down like this. It comes from within. It comes up from within often. And so and it says that if we can really say yes to all of it, then it will, even when it doesn't look like something blessed, something good, it will turn to that, to something good, because that's what it actually is. So when the light is too dense and brilliant, and the vessels aren't fully ripe or mature, so the light can break or appear to break those vessels, like a lot of, wattage that goes through a 60-watt light, or a lot of ampage that goes through a 60-watt light bulb. It'll short circuit the bulb, it'll break the bulb, it'll short circuit the wires. That's very true of us too. It's a very, very helpful analogy. So I encourage you to really think about it when you're feeling down or distressed. Open up in prayer and deep connection and see if you can listen deeply what's going on within. So here's what I want to say. We are in a collective process. It's really cosmic, but it's certainly happening through all of humanity, across every culture, across every nation. We're in a collective process of healing, of detoxing, of transmuting all of the darkness, all of the dysfunction, all of the man, against man, all of the inner self against, the one part of you against another part of you, all of the, the power hungry against the easily led. This is a fractal. So it takes place everywhere. It's internal, it's, familial, it's cultural, it's national, it's cosmic. Ultimately, this is a spiritual war. So as that happens, part of the process, and this is predicted, this is prophecy, but it's so living true. When you look at it, when you experience it, sometimes you don't see the match until you make that deeper interconnection, and then it becomes really obvious. What we're experiencing is that release, that release of what's hidden into a revealed space, so that we can see our own inner darker subconscious, the things that our fears we're getting triggered, right? Our sadness about the nature of the world and about the, things happening that we never expected, and feeling abandoned. I'm reading that a lot of people feel lost and broken and despairing. Not all, but I think we all cycle through that. I cycled through that yesterday. It was very real. And I do a lot of work on myself, and spiritual work and emotional work and all kinds of work. So, and what I realized, what was shown to me when I finally did connect in prayer and this deep listening today, is that these things that are happening, you can write this down if you want, they are not new things just being imposed on us. They are the revelation of old things that were happening, operating beneath the surface, that were like a virus in our system that we couldn't see. Again, that's in terms of government, that's in terms of your own inner subconscious, that's in terms of relationships, those things that are toxic, that are from exile, that we cannot see. And sometimes they're inside of us, and sometimes they're superimposed upon us through our collectives. But you have to consider that as a collective, we allow to happen. We allow the government that is a match for where we are. Our government is a match for our consciousness. So if our government is no longer a match for our consciousness, we can conclude that our consciousness is growing. But the process, it doesn't feel like, so it's just going to float away and it's all going to be good. No, we need to witness. This is part of the divine design, that we need to witness and observe and see what's been going on and where it's rooted in our own selves, because consciousness equals choice. Consciousness creates, and what's meant to happen is that all that is unconscious that's been running us, is inner virus. Again, individuals, collectives, countries, cosmos, all of this is meant to become conscious so that we can make a change. Chassidus explains that 50% of curing an illness is seeing what the illness is. That's what's happening now. Is it pleasant? Not pleasant. Not anyone here feels it's pleasant. Maybe exciting. Okay, pleasant. In rare instances, when I go very deep, I'll feel that joy. Maybe it's not so rare, but pleasant, it's not. So what we're seeing is the inner virus, the inner mechanisms that are reflected within us that are then out projected into the governments that we choose, the policies that we make, the circumstances that occur in the world and in our lives. I want to encourage you to, again, realize that it's better out than in. It's coming up in order that it can be witnessed, that responsibility can be taken inside the self for whatever each of our part has been in remaining unconscious, not being responsible, not waking up, being happy with the status quo as long as I, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. I can go shopping, I can get in my car and go to the beach. That's great. That's all I need. That's not the world that is destined. That's not the level of consciousness or commitment or purpose that will make us fit, aligned channels for the divine revelations that are already coming in. Again, remember that when you have symptoms, it's because something is attempting to come into your consciousness or into your power base and you're not able to align with it. You're pushing it down, whether because you think that there's something wrong with you, that you're having these, thoughts and it doesn't fit and you don't want people to know and you don't want to know, or whether it's, you're fear-based, so you don't want to hear any alternative opinions about what might be happening in our world. And there are a lot of people that are there. Most of us are there one way or another. So we're repressing, we're pushing down. And what that does is just pushes the virus deeper into the system only, when it's time for it to come out. But there's not much we can do to keep it from happening. So when we're getting triggered individually, often what's happening, imagine that you have a circle, like a womb of unconsciousness, whether you're male, female, doesn't matter. But inside, let's say your abdominal space where the womb is actually placed, imagine that there is just a sphere of unconscious energy that is driving you in many ways, but that is not integrated into your conscious, intentional self. So it can present a lot of turbulence, a lot of chaos, a lot of problems. That's the energy that Kabbalah calls tohu. So this is actually a mirror or a fractal of the space in which creation is taking place, where the divine light appears not to be present. Divine, God is always present, but God withdraws a level of conscious revelation. And here we have this world, this existence where everything seems chaotic, where everything seems, even in the best case, there's death, it's not cool. So that is a result of divine consciousness being, so to speak, removed. It's not actually removed, it's just not, it's hidden. It's hidden. So that's replicated within our own beings. Now, because things are meant to rise up, because the unconscious is meant to become conscious, so that we can integrate it into a much, much more expanded whole, because the unconscious has far more power. This level, that's the level, again, that Kabbalah calls tohu, it's infinite energy. That's why it's chaotic, because it doesn't have vessels. I can see that there's going to be a lot of missing pieces for people here. It doesn't matter. You can leave that aside if you want to. Just remember, just focus on that. When something gets triggered in you, and we're all being triggered right now, it is because unconsciously there's something inside of you, some deep fear, some deep fear. Fear has different flavors. It could be a shame-based fear. It could be an abandonment-based fear. It could be a survival-based fear. We all have good reason for fear. We've all been here many times. It's not our first rodeo. So there's some, let's say, trauma-based fear that gets triggered. And when it gets triggered, it triggers the limbic system, which is the survival part of the brain, that then will put you in a defensive mode, that will then excrete chemicals that will serve to disable your immune system to a certain degree. And at that point, we are at our most vulnerable to messages that are being broadcast to us. It's not an accident that it works like this. It's not what is happening in the world on the deepest level is absolutely an awakening, without any doubt. What's happening in the global governing systems that corresponded to our old consciousness that is now in the process of breaking up and moving out, those are broadcasting, messages to us, subliminally and overtly and in all kinds of ways, very deliberately and very cleverly, to trigger the limbic system, to trigger that unconscious fear, so that we, get into a rigid place and stay in line. Don't wake up, don't change, don't question, don't connect, don't go deeper. That's the war. That's the core of the war right now. So the thing is, how we turn it around is first to know it, first to recognize it for what it is. Again, consciousness co-creates. Consciousness equals choice. The secret to curing any illness begins with understanding the nature of it. So when you understand that when you're triggered, what's happening in the collective is resonating with something in your unconscious. So the collective unconscious is strong vibration that we're all feeling, and it's triggering each of our own individual unconscious. That core nature of all of that is fear, and we have a choice what we want to do with that. It's just a choice. There are two core movements, moving in and moving away. That's it. So moving away, again, that's the limbic system, fight or flight or freeze. A lot of us are freezing, okay? And that has all kinds of, emotional attributes to it, and health effects and so forth, and relationship effects. Fight or flight, some people, but most people are freezing. Most people they're just, deer in headlight, which is okay. It's meant to be this way to a degree. Like what's happening has to happen. But now here's our other choice. We can go in deeper. We can understand the system. We can understand the wiring. We can understand the template. We can connect with others who do. We can allow for the trigger, work with the trigger. There are processes that I work with every single day that I teach, that must be mastered, whether mine or other processes must be mastered in order to work with the inner unconscious to help it to come into revelation in the conscious and then integrate into the system. That's all formulaic. It's individual how we'll experience it at any given moment, but these are just processes. There are people that know how to do them. I'm not the only one. I have my own, but I'm not the only one, far from it. But that's when you say hello, when you say thank you, God, when you say I love you, struggling self, when you're triggered, when you understand that this is a trigger so that you can take some of that chaos, tohu energy, that infinite energy and potential, which is rattling around in your system, causing havoc because it's not integrated, it's not conscious, and you can bring it into your consciousness, then you have won half the battle already. Learning and mastering the processes and doing them, that's the other half. This is a divine thing. This is a divine thing. And you are a warrior in the spiritual war. Doesn't mean you have to be tough. You could be like a flower, but you want to have deep roots and you want to be connected. You want to be receiving the sun. So it's about the connection. It's about the consciousness, about the connection, about the intention, and about understanding really what's happening. Let me just check my notes and see if I made a few notes because many things came to me today and I just want to make sure. Yeah, so your soul that's just about it. Your soul has come down in order to do this work, without a doubt. Your soul also gets freaked out when it's inside your body and it's not able to prevail. And then, the soul is captive in the body and it responds to the cascade of limbic system chemical reactions. Your soul is trying to get to you, but sometimes it gets very quiet and submerged. So you want to listen, listen, listen. Listening is the massive key. The shared grief and this is the last thing I want to say for now. There's a massive amount of shared grief that each of us carries as individuals, but that we carry as a collective. How many, Torah definitely believes in multiple past lives. Some of us remember some of them, whether we've been hypnotized or done processes or we just, do, and others maybe don't, but doesn't mean you don't have them. Everybody has them. So imagine everybody died, probably multiple times and probably not so pleasantly, right? Everybody lost. Everybody probably lived in times of war and times of, sorry for the word, but horror, in times of loss, in times of starvation, in times of poverty. And we come in large part to turn those things into wisdom that have not yet been turned into wisdom. So everything that happened, everything will be good in the end, and we're very close to the end. If it's not good, it's not yet the end. But how it happens, how it unfolds, and how that impacts us is to an extreme degree consciousness dependent. We have a tremendous amount of influence if we are wise and if we use it. And if we continue to let things move us, everything that happens is the collective reacting to what's being pumped here, to bring it into consciousness, to show us what's wrong with the way we've been living, what's wrong with the way we've been governed, what's wrong with the way that the level to which we've been seeing. That will trigger the inner. And when you go in and see what's triggered and know how to work with it and do that, start with prayer, start with awareness and prayer, just to ask God, I feel this, help me process it, help me turn it into wisdom. What is the message here? What is the learning? What is the gift? You can ask yourself questions like that, and that may be quite enough for you. Who knows? At least a lot of the time. As you do that, you're healing from within yourself this entire bandwidth that stretches across all of humanity, that's resonating, that's vibrating in the same exact way. Okay? And so that this is the relationship between the collective and the individual, going in, processing, and going out. And then what you broadcast, if you don't do the work, you'll receive the collective fear, it will trigger your own fear, and then you will amplify through your own fear the collective, right? But if you go the other way, you receive the fear, you connect more deeply to God and your inner self, your intention, like-minded people, the morphic field that you would like to be part of, the field of redemption, of Geula, of a world of heaven on earth. If you understand it's just better out than in, it's just coming up to be seen. Not that it wasn't there before. It was there before, too deeply buried for you to even notice. So these added symptoms are something coming up to transform, propelled by new light and new potential. And as you do that, if that's the level that you're connected to, and you follow that up by connecting to other people like that, watching videos like this, sharing them. By the way, I never remember to say this, please like, comment, and share if you want this to have more coverage. There are a lot of algorithms that are blocking, I used to get several thousand views, on a video, at least 1,000, 2,000, within the first few hours. And now it's much less. And I do believe that that's because of what's happening online. So I think if you like, you share, and especially if you comment, unless there's something they don't want me to say. So it should help spread this vibration, because we are connecting and co-creating a new morphic field, the field of the future, the field of Geula, the field of the divine plan and the divine vision. And the more we connect with each other, these truths, these practices, these beliefs, these intentions, the more that the field is like an attractor field, like a magnetic field that pulls in anything that vibrates with the magnet, the iron filings. So we are co-creating, or rather we're attaching to God's field for the future. And we do that by connecting with, again, these ideas, sharing them, connecting with like-minded people, using them in our lives, praying, visioning them, intending them, work in progress, like I always say, because that's the truth. But then we are not only connecting personally to this field of the future, that's an attractor field that will not allow us to get sidetracked or broken in the process, but rather that will strengthen us in the process. Yes, we take dips because we get triggered in order to heal. In order to heal, the trigger is the healing. Should you choose to, and learn how to, and practice that. So that's what's happening here. And when it happens to enough of us, it doesn't have to happen to everybody. We're creating gravity with our morphic field, this morphic field of the future, the morphic field of the redemption, morphic field of transformation, the morphic field of deeper perception, the morphic field of not responding. You'll respond emotionally to this bombardment of fear and control and designed, to tell you back off, behave, lock yourself into yourself, not just your house, into yourself. Don't question, be mad at your fellows, don't see what's happening. That could you'll be triggered into that. I was triggered into that yesterday. And like I said, I do a lot of work. I'm pretty aware, I think. Then what do with it? The trigger is the healing. What are you going to amplify back? What are you going to do within yourself, with God, with others like you? What are you going to amplify back into the world? Each time you amplify back Geula, the work, that's the processing that's being done, you strengthen that field until it's strong enough to pull first the conscious people, and then the less conscious people, and then the people behind them, and it won't take long. We just have to get that magnetic effect. Okay, that's it for today. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and I hope to see you next time. Again, please like, comment, and share the video if it speaks to you, because it will help to strengthen the new field. Want to be a warrior in this war? You do the inner work and you share it with others. Lots of